Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be making this asymmetric corset with yoke. So if this is something that interests you, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So to start with, we are going to be drafting a pattern on a pattern paper, and as you can see, I've joined two patterns paper together because I'm going to be cutting it on fold and I'm cutting the gown directly. So what I'm trying to do here is that I'm trying to fold my pattern paper. So after folding the pattern paper, I'm going to go ahead and insert the vertical body measurements, which are the shoulder line. I'll first of all mark the shoulder line which doubles as the starting point, and from that shoulder line I'm going to go ahead and insert my chest line, my bust point, under bust, my waistline, my hip line, then the full gown length, and I'm going to add like 2 inches extra as allowance. So I'm just going to make a straight line across all those points, after which I'm going to label each line. So guys, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do now is to insert my shoulder measurements. My shoulder measurements is 8 inches, so I'm going to go ahead and insert the 8 inches, and I'm going to come down on that 8 inches by 1 inch. Then on the chest line, I'm going to go ahead and insert my bust circumference measurement divided by 4. Then I will insert the 8 inches as well, the 8 inches shoulder line. Then I'm going to connect together in a straight line. So for my neck width, I'm going for 4 inches neck width. You use the one that is suitable for your measurement. So I'm going to connect it like so to form my shoulder slope. So on the armhole line, I'm just going to mark the midpoint and go inward by half an inch. Then I'm going to connect the shoulder slope, that half an inch that I just went inward with, to the chest line like so. So we have formed the armhole. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and mark my nipple to nipple distance measurements. My nipple to nipple distance measurement is 8.5, so divided by 2 is 4.25 of an inch. So that is what I'm marking both on the bust point and on the waistline. So I'm just going to form a straight line there, connecting it straight to the chest line. So on the chest line, I'm going to go up by about 1.5 inches because I want this corset to cover my boobs properly. Then on the chest line again, I'll go in at the center front by half an inch. So I'm going to connect that half an inch to the 1.5 inches I came up with, but I'm just going to extend that line like so. Then I'm going to take my armhole curve and just use this to connect the half an inch I went in with to the 1.5 inches I went up with like so. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So now I'll go to the under bust. On the under bust, I'm going to insert 1 inches on each sides of that line. Then on the bust point, I'm just going to come down by 0.5 inches. Then that line that just those 2 points I came out with on the other bust, I'm going to extend it to the waistline. So on the bust point, like I said earlier, I'll come down by 0.5 inches, and I'm going to connect those 2 points together with a slight curve. So after connecting it with a slight curve, I'll take my curve rule again and I'll sit it properly, making sure the down part is touching the under bust, and I'm just going to connect it to the half an inch that I came in with on the chest line. So one part of our cup is almost ready. To form the other cup, I'm going to insert my nipple to nipple measurement and add 1 inch to it. So I'm going to mark it like so. Then I'm going to sit my curve rule properly again like we did the other time. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it like so. So after marking it like that, I will use my curve rule again to connect from that point that the other cup is touching the chest line to the 1.5 inch that we came up with. So on that upper part of our cup. I'm going to go out on both sides by 1 inch, and I'm going to connect that with a slight curve to the bust point. So we have successfully created our cups for this tutorial. So I'm just trying to blend the side to the chest line. So now for the neckline, I'll go down by 3 inches for my neck depth. So I'm going to connect that to the 4 inches that I went for my neck width. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So after that, I'm just going to label the upper parts of my corset yoke. So after labeling it yoke, the next thing I'm going to do now is to insert all my horizontal body measurements, my bust circumference. I'll start my bust circumference divided by 4. Then I'm going to add the 2 inches we are cutting off at the upper part of the corset. I'll add to it, then 2 inches seam allowance. For the waistline, I'll do the same hip line till I get to the down part. Then after that, I'll connect all those points together. Then I'll just go ahead and just cut it out. So guys, as you can see, I only cut off the excesses at the side, the armhole and the neckline. So now I'm going to open up a pattern paper like so. So after opening it up, I'm just going to go to the waistline and I will extend my waistline to the other side. Then I'll go to my hip line again and extend it to the other side as well. So after doing that, I'm going to go ahead and mark out the 2 inches seam allowance that we added on the other side. So I'm just going to mark it out here so I'll know that this is where the allowance ends. So after marking it, I'm going to just connect it together. So this side that I'm working on is the side that will be the waistline, that will stop at the waistline. So I'm just going to go to the other side now. So that side is where we are stopping for that side. So I'm going to go to the other side now. So on the other side, I'm going to go up from my hip line. You can go up from your hip line by 5 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches. I went up by 3 inches, but it wasn't all that comfortable for me when I wore it. So I would advise that you should go up for about maybe 4, 5 or even 6 inches. So I'm just going to connect that to the other side, to the waistline on the other side, like so. So that is how we are going to be making this asymmetric corset. So we have created that asymmetric effects like so. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to extend the dart line from my waistline down to where the symmetric starts on the down part. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm just connecting the dart line, extending it to the asymmetric part. So after extending it, I'm just going to go ahead now and cut out the asymmetric parts of the gown. So I'm just going to cut out the down parts rather. I'll cut out the down part. So this is how the down part looks like after cutting it out. So I'm just going to set it aside and cut out the half length as well. So guys, this is what we have after cutting everything out. So I'm just trying to like arrange them properly so we can see how the patterns look like after cutting. So this is how the pattern looks like here. So this is the down part of the asymmetric yoke, asymmetric corset rather. So I'm just going to go ahead now and pack the front panel and start working on the back panel. So for the back panel, I've gone ahead to mark my shoulder line, my chest line, my waistline, my hip line, and the gown length, including the allowances. And as you can see, I've already formed my armhole and my shoulder slope. So it was at this point that I realized that I didn't insert zipper allowance, and that's because I'm not going to, I think it's because I'm not going to attach, I'm not going to fix zipper to the upper part of this gown. So that's why I decided that I'm going to split it into two. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm trying to split my gown into two, separate the waistline from the other parts, the full bodies of the skirts. So now after separating the waistline, I'm going to go ahead now to insert the 2 inches zipper allowance to the skirt part of this gown. So I'm just going to go ahead now to use a straight line to connect those points together. Then I'm going to insert my I'm just labeling it here. Then I'm going to insert my waist circumference measurement and add 2 inches to it as allowance. My hip circumference measurement 2 inches as allowance. Then I'm going to connect those together and just cut it out. And as you can see, I did not add any dart points to these skirts. So yeah, and I'll set it aside now. So I'll continue working on the other part of my back panel. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead to insert my bust circumference divided by 4, and I'll add 2 inches seam allowance. Then I'll insert my waist circumference divided by 4 as well and add 2 inches allowance. So I'm just going to take my straight ruler and just use it to connect those 2 points together. So after doing that, I'm going to go to the neckline, and I'm going to come down on my neck line. For my neck depth, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches. So I'm going to take my curve rule and just use it to connect the to form a curve on the neckline like so. Then I want the back to be open till the chest line. So I'm just going to come down by 1 inch, or half an inch rather, from the neck depth. So I'm just going to go ahead now to form the slight hole that I want, like that. So after forming the slight hole, I'm just going to go ahead and mark out 1 inch that I'm going to cut off from this back panel. The 1 inch that I'm marking out now is because I'm lacing this down part, so I'm just going to cut off this 1 inch. Then I'm inserting modesty panel. So I'm just going to form a straight line like so, and that means I'm going to readjust the back hole to stop on that 1 inch that I just marked now. So after doing that, I'll go ahead and cut out. So guys, this is what the back panel looks like. So I'm just going to arrange it now so you can see how it looks like. So this is how the back panel looks like now. This is how it's going to look like when we wear it. So I'm just going to go ahead now and start cutting all this on my fabric. So in the next video, we are going to be cutting and sewing all this pattern that we just made on our fabric. Thank you so much for sticking till the end of this tutorial. Please do well to like this video and subscribe to this channel to enjoy more sewing content. I'll see you guys in the next one.